Hello, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America, and my guest today is a farm-to-table chef, artist, and teacher who has transformed her pain into passion through both her for-profit and nonprofit organizations. She offers nourishment and hope, providing meals through Brunch at Zion's and Dine with Dignity. And Chrystina Casado, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
You know, when people say farm to garden, they have in mind some farm way off in the country somewhere, but you're a farm to table gardener, cook, chef, provider of meals, and you're growing things in the Bronx.
Yes. So both of our farms that allow us to utilize fresh herbs and fresh vegetables are both in the Bronx. The meat is upstate, but we try to keep everything locally sourced, like our honeys. La Finca has an amazing honey. We try to use honey within the Bronx and Harlem because it's actually better for you when you eat honey that's localized.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Why? What?
So they say the properties of where the bees find their pollen.
Right.
So say like if you have asthma,
Right.
you're used to the environment that you're in. So when you eat the honey, it actually helps you build an immune system to those things that you might be allergic to. Like my son has asthma.
Right.
He eats the honey. His asthma this year has been so like mild. So he's almost outgrowing it. And it's very important that we utilize the things in our area.
In our, right.
Yeah.
Now, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got two gardens that you utilize. You know, we're way off track. I'm so interested in your farming. You know, let's step back a second and say you provide these wonderful meals, Brunch at Zion's, that people can actually order
Yes.
on a regular basis.
Yes.
That's your business. You know,
Yes.
you're a restaurateur, chef, cook.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
So Brunch at Zion's it's the heart of our company. You know, without Brunch at Zion's, there wouldn't be Dine with Dignity. And Brunch at Zion's came from my son's name, Zion.
Who is 6 now.
Who is 6.
And also bakes the cookies.
Yes, he makes our cookies. I wanted to give him some responsibility because he buys a lot of toys. And I told him like, hey, now you can buy your own toys. So they're called Zion the Lion cookies. And he's,
Well, adorable and already an entrepreneur. You know, he's going to buy himself like a race car or something next year, right? So, so the cookies, and then you and your staff prepare meals that people can actually order.
Yes. So we have our kitchen open to order on Wednesdays and Thursdays only because we are very busy with personal chefing, our Dine with Dignity program, and also catering. So I have to make sure like we're balancing everything.
So let's make it clear that I'm sitting at home and I say, gee, you know, I love Chrystina's food. Let me just call up and order something for you to deliver to my home.
Yes. So what we do is we send out the menu on Monday so that people can decide on what, you know, sometimes you feel like this today, tomorrow you feel like this. We give people enough time to sign up. And then we send out the mass email or the text. And then they place their orders on Tuesday for either Wednesday, or they place their order on Wednesday for Thursday. And then we deliver via courier to them.
All right. Well, you'll be hearing from me soon. And you're in my neighborhood. You're in Hamilton Heights. This is terrific. So that's the order your food business that you and Zion are into and doing exceptionally well. The personal chefing, now that's somebody who has hired you to prepare food for them on an ongoing basis.
Yes, and sometimes what happens is people don't have the access to cook. Sometimes their stoves break down. I didn't think this existed, but I live in New York and everything is possible. Sometimes people don't have kitchens. Sometimes they tell me, oh, their stove is out of commission. Their landlord's not repairing it. Can I order food? And I'm like, yeah, do you meal plan? Yes, I do. So we provide them with the things that they need so that they can actually eat healthy instead of ordering like fast food.
Sure. And so you can do that. If they have an oven, you can go there and cook it for them.
We
Or
never cook in their home unless it's, because that's a whole different price. That's a whole different animal, because that requires cleanup as well.
right.
That requires, so in our kitchen, depending on what
Your
they want.
commercial kitchen,
Yeah,
right.
there's a lot more space, there's a
Right.
lot more ovens, things get done a little bit quicker. When you're in someone's home, it's like, okay, if they want oxtail, you can't use that eye for 3 hours, right? Because we have to braise that oxtail and get it right.
Right.
So for
No.
me, cooking in the commercial kitchen sometimes is better, and we like to deliver. But there are people who do want us to cook in their home. And sometimes it's for an event. Sometimes it's for a special occasion. They just want personal chefing for their family in that moment. So we do cook in people's homes, but I try not to, because we can get a lot more done with a lot more ovens and equipment.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. And so your theory of this is that you can do Mediterranean, Southern, all of the cooking, but you do it in a healthier way. So you don't have to give up your love of soul food, as
Yeah.
we call it,
Yeah.
or the Southern food, as it's referred to now.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's the frying, it's the oils, it's the...
So we try not to fry a lot. We try to give people other options to eat a different way. Just having a health scare myself, this is one of those things I really try to help my customers be more healthy. And I always say, I won't feed you what I won't feed Zion. Because for me, that's my standard. Like, treat yourself like the person you love the most. And my son, I treat him with care. I make sure he has everything on his plate that he's supposed to eat, so that he doesn't have to like substitute with, all these vitamins.
Sure.
He's actually getting what he needs. And that's how I look at my clients as well. So if they have like an ailment or some type of like food related illness, or not illness, like disease,
Right.
or, like hypertension.
Sure.
This is where I come in and I look at that like, okay, so your cholesterol's high, we're not gonna do the fried foods, we're gonna bake it. They're like, no, it doesn't taste the same. I'm like, okay, let's just try it out. And these are the things that taste amazing baked.
Right.
So we do an intake form, and we figure out what they like, and then we curate a menu around that. And then we send it to them, and they get to choose what they want for how many days they want that meal plan. Sometimes it's 2 weeks. We don't cook everything, but we pre-pack it, pre-season it. They put it in their freezer, they take it out, they pop it in the oven. So now you're avoiding all of those oils, all of those extra ingredients that you usually put on, because now you have this pre-packed healthy meal for you. And so far, they like it.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Now, you mentioned your own health emergency that you had. Talk to us about that and what that led to in the Dining with Dignity.
So Dine with Dignity came from my son, Dominic Christopher. He had skeletal dysplasia, and I didn't know what that was, because I don't know my biological father, so I didn't know I had this genetic mutation in my genes. And it causes a rare form of dwarfism. And I'm thinking, dwarfism? I'm tall, my family's tall, like, what is this? But what happens is it's lethal. And what it did was it didn't allow his ribs to grow rounded, they grew flat. So inside of me, he was growing. He was this little dwarf baby, but growing healthy. And when he came out of me, he couldn't breathe because his lungs grew flat. So I like had him in my arms for like 4 minutes. And when he passed away, it was like he got rushed into another room for organ donation. And this was like the weirdest experience. I didn't have time to mourn. I didn't have time to like process. I got out of the hospital and I was just like, oh my God, I just had a cesarean.
Right.
And I have no baby, and now I have to stay home and heal. I have to bury him. What do I do? And I called my job. I was like, can I come back to work? The baby didn't live, this, that. They're like, no, you have to stay on leave.
Right.
And I was just like, what? Like, how am I gonna make ends meet? I can't live off of 60% of my pay. So then I'm sitting there, and I went to all of these like places that offer assistance or help, and they were like, no, you don't have a kid. And I'm like, and I thought to myself, because I'm from Miami, I was like,
Sure.
I can't believe New York is this cold.
Right.
And then I walked into this office and I remember this man, he was like burned from head to toe, but he was working and he's like, look at me. I don't feel sorry for me. And I'm like, I don't feel sorry for myself. I just need help.
Right.
Like, I can't even get food because I'm putting all the money towards the rent and the rent's still not getting paid completely. And I almost became homeless. And I was like, oh my God, and I have a job. Like, I'm a general manager of something.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
what is happening right now?
Right.
And I was able to bury him by cremation and then putting him in a one of those little walls. I don't know what it's called. Yes.
A niche, yes.
And
right.
I'm sitting there thinking, my God, this cannot be my life. I finally received mail that day and I was looking through my mail and I saw my 401k and I was like, oh my God, maybe I can pull off of this. I completely forgot about it. And then I remember speaking to the guy and he was like, the only way that you can pull from this if you're suffering a hardship. And I'm like, hardship?
Right.
What is a hardship? I was like, my son dying, is that a hardship?
Definitely a hardship.
And he was like, absolutely.
Right. Right.
And I was able to pull from that. And I thought to myself, I'm no longer going to work for anybody. I'm going to create a business because I work hard.
Right.
I'm going to work for myself and I'm going to create a business that can help others, but also provide good food. Because sometimes when I go to places in New York, I'm like,
right.
this food is crazy. Like, how are these
Exactly.
people still alive,
Exactly.
you know?
So out of your
My hardship.
Out of your hardship,
Yeah.
you created Dine with Dignity,
Yes.
and you also had another hardship with a double mastectomy, cancer that was detected. So
Yeah.
So this program is for people who are also suffering similar hardships.
Yeah.
And you allow providing food for how many families at a time?
16.
16 families.
That's what we can handle because Brunch at Zion's pours into Dine with Dignity. And then we also get donations.
Right.
We do tastings so that we can fundraise. Depending on what we need.
Right.
Sometimes we have people who actually, like Costco, they've donated dog food for the families because even though there's families, they have animals.
Right.
So
right.
we've got a lot of sponsorship in that way.
So you're getting a lot of referrals through the cancer societies.
That just started.
Right.
Because I became part of that group now, breast
Right.
cancer. So we're working with 2 patients now. We just did an event for them called Woman to Woman. The lovely founder, Fran, she's amazing. She was like, could you cater this for us? And I was like, yep. They were struggling with budget. And they were like, everybody wants to charge us this and that. And I was like, you guys are my people. Like, just tell me what you need.
Right,
and she was
right.
like, no. So everybody donated to Dine with Dignity because I wouldn't take the money. So they
Right.
donated to Dine with Dignity. And then we were able to fund those families.
And how do families qualify for that? Again, it's another, you have to exhibit a hardship of some kind, but you are extending paying forward in a substantial way.
So
there's a waiting list, we understand.
there is. There's 4 families in waiting because some families take longer, depending on the situation. If it's like a double mastectomy, if it's a loss of a limb, that person's going to take a little longer than a person who may be seeking temporary housing.
And what you're doing is creating meal plans for some of them, teaching them how to
Yes.
prepare their foods,
Yes.
in some instances preparing it for them.
Yes.
I mean, that whole combination of, and how long are in the program generally?
It really depends on the hardship. I try, I always say 6 months, but 6 months isn't always the deal.
Right.
I can give you an example. I had a client, Miss Cameron. She was someone who had issues with her health. She got off the Dine with Dignity program, and now she hired me as her personal chef. So she never left. It just graduated into something else.
Right.
And she still gets her meal planning.
Right.
But the hardship is just to help
Get
in the
them
moment.
started, right,
Yeah. And
right.
then usually what happens is when they get back on their feet, they feel better because they're eating food that actually nourishes them versus cause that slope of sluggishness. And
Right,
like, oh my
right,
God, I
sure.
just had a hamburger.
Right, and you're doing so much. You're working with the school children, you know, preparing meals for them and doing events. So, so you will do. You can order a meal from Chrystina, or you can have you do their meal planning for extended periods of time as a personal chef.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dine with Dignity, which is
My heart.
extraordinary, extraordinary. You know, well, what you're doing is exceptional. You know, and breaking through both of those major losses to, you know, to still be surviving and providing healthy food
Yeah.
and advice.
'Cause I remember what I needed, and I thought to myself, people should not need the bare necessity. They should not need a roof over their head. They should not need water, and they should not have to try to figure out where their food is coming from. And believe it or not, it is cheaper to grow your own food than it is to go to the store and buy it. And you
Right.
don't know how that food is handled. So for me, it's an honor, like really, it's an honor, like to know half of the people that I serve and cook for them. So people were like, oh my God, when I went through cancer and I got my double, they were like, oh no, you're probably not gonna wanna cook anymore. I was like, the first day I got out, because they told me I wouldn't have movement, I was like, I grabbed my chef knives and I was like, because I wanted to see if I
Right.
still had, and I was like,
Right.
look, Fran, I can move. And my support group was like, really? I'm like, I can still cook. It's just been a lifelong passion of mine to make sure that people feel good. And feeling really comes from what you eat and what you put in your body and the energy around it. You know, so when we create like spaces for people to eat, we put a lot of florals and plants, and we just want people to feel really good and proud. Like, wow, this is for me. Yes, you deserve it. You know, for me, that's what it's all about. You
Right.
know?
Well, we thank you so much. We're so glad that that's what it's about. You are really making such a huge contribution.
Thank you.
You know, saving people at every touch point. That's an accomplishment. Thank you so much. My sincere thanks to Chef Chrystina Casado, founder and chef at Brunch at Zion's and Dine with Dignity, offering not only a meal, but hope to so many people. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome. Thank you.
Up next, we take you into an interview with Duane Ferguson, our dear Duane, who caught up with award-winning writer Tony Weaver Jr. His experiences with racism and bullying as a teenager inspired him to create webcomics that have gone on to uplift and inspire millions of readers.
I titled Weirdo Weirdo as a way to, number one, kind of take ownership of this title that was put on me. I want to kind of shift the idea of what that word means and what it could mean. And then also, selfishly, I'm like a huge Donald Glover fan. And his first comedy special was called Weirdo, and it was really formative for me. So, and we both grew up in Atlanta. We went to school in the same district, and if I was in a public school, I would have gone to the same high school that he went to. Well, I think words have power and words have meaning, and obviously a person calling me a weirdo would be using that term because there's some inherent power in it. There's something that they would like to leverage or put on me. There's a way that they would like to label me. And I think I can't control what people say about me, but I can control what I say about myself. So if I take this label or I take this moniker and I say, well, I assign it this way or I think about it this way, I think it takes that power that is in words and it shifts that power from the person calling the name to the person using the name. And I think even in the stuff that I write, not just outside of titles, a lot of what I am attempting to do is examine and critique and reframe and kind of shift power.
Right, right. There was actually a moment in the book, which I wasn't even going to talk about, but since you said that, and you could guide me through this, there's a moment in the book where you're in the second school, or because the book starts off, you change schools, and then there's another school that you go to where you meet like-minded kids.
Yes.
And there's a scene where one of the kids is being made fun of by, I guess, the basketball team, I believe.
Yes.
And then you join in, not making fun of him, but I think you put on the cape and
Yeah, I put on the cape. I think that chapter was one that was really important to me because we were having a lot of commentary around like masculinity, what masculinity is and what it isn't. And in that chapter, a part of it was, well, if you're one person doing something that's kind of out of the ordinary, you're that crazy person. But when there are 3, 4, or 5 people with you, suddenly y'all are a group. Suddenly you're a movement. There's strength in numbers. And just by supporting somebody, you have the opportunity to shift kind of the lens at which through they're looked at.
Who was in your mind in terms of when you conceived this book? Who did you see as the people or persons that you're writing the book for? Like, who did you imagine the audience was going to be?
So I can take you to when Weirdo was an idea in my spiral notebook. I was living in Washington, D.C. in a 440 square foot studio apartment. I was being charged way too much money for. But I was never home because I was on the road every week, sometimes 4 to 6 planes every week, going and talking to kids, going and talking to kids, going and talking to kids. And I would run myself ragged. I'd be on the road for about 3 weeks at a time. I'd get sick. I'd get home. I'd crash land. And I'd just lay in that bed aching and tired for a few days. My friends would bring me soup and stuff like that to like rejuvenate me back to full health. And then I would get on the road and do it again. And my mom was really concerned because she was like, why? Like what? You're really overexerting yourself. And what I said to her was, if there's even one kid that needs me and I'm not there, I'm not gonna forgive myself for it. If there's one kid that's experiencing the stuff that I've experienced, is struggling with their mental health, and they need somebody, and I'm not there, I'm not going to be able to handle it. Not because I'm arrogant enough to believe that I can save everybody, but because I'm empathetic enough to know what it's like to need help and not get it. And I was willing to be self-sacrificial in that way, to make sure that I was at these schools and that I was talking to kids. So when I wrote the book, the kid that I had in mind was the kid that didn't have anybody to talk to. I said, I can only be in a limited amount of places at one time, but a book can be in every library. It can be on every shelf. It can be in every store. It can be in every backpack. And when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and dad works a graveyard shift, so he's not home, and mom is asleep because she has to be up for work in the morning, and your siblings are asleep, and you better not wake them up because mom is going to be upset, but you need help. I have to make something that just off the strength of what is between the front and the back cover, you can grab it and get what you need. And that was like, those were the use cases that I had in mind. Kids are struggling today.
How were you able to write something on mental health and be very precise, concise, and even deep about it, and still present it in a way for younger viewers? Because you tackle some very, very heavy issues in this book. And I'm very curious, what was your mindset in terms of how you navigated your story and the mental health aspect of it, and how you decided to present it in such a way that you thought was palatable, for younger readers?
I think I wanted to talk about the feelings and not the actions, if that makes sense. So I'm very open about the fact that I attempted suicide when I was a teenager. Weirdo covers this. It's in the first 3 chapters of the book. But there's never any discussion of what Tony did. It's more about how did Tony feel? And I think that even in a graphic novel context, we can honor some of these really large and heavy issues that kids are dealing with by focusing on the feeling more so than the specific action. Like in chapter 8, when we're having that conversation about masculinity, and Cornelius literally says, over holiday break, my dad pulled me to the side and had a conversation with me. And he essentially said to me, when are you gonna give this stuff up? Like, don't you want to be into more stuff that other boys are into, more manly stuff? I don't need to go into detail for someone that's experiencing that feeling to go, oh no, I get it. I understand. If you have a core understanding of the feeling, then you can communicate that feeling with like gripping subtlety.
You can catch the full interview with Tony Weaver Jr. online through our website. That's it for us at this time. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America. We'll see you the next time.